A millionaire lives 30 days as a janitor, then discovers a heartwarming secret from a receiving. Jack Thompson, a tech billionaire from San Francisco, had it all: the flashy cars, luxury penthouses, and elite parties where everyone knew his name. But when a PR scandal erupted, a scandal that painted him as the villain in a world of ethical startups, his empire crumbled overnight. Determined to reclaim his reputation, Jack chose an unconventional path. He would live as a janitor for 30 days in an inner-city school in a struggling Ohio town. Arriving in a rundown neighborhood, the stark contrasts rattled him: peeling paint, broken swings in empty parks, and empty eyes filled with stories of hardship. The morning chill wrapped around him like a reminder of his forced humility as he rolled up his sleeves, ready to scrub floors and empty trash cans. With every day spent cleaning, he encountered lives brimming with challenges: parents struggling, kids laughing, each moment a testament to resilience. Over time, he met Maria, the school's lunch lady. A single mother wise beyond her years, Maria served meals with warmth, her laughter ringing through the cramped kitchen. As they shared sandwiches over the lunch hour, Jack found unexpected comfort in her stories. They laughed about burnt pasta and traded struggles of raising children on small paychecks. Here, Maria showed him what true strength looked like. She held her family together with threads of hope, and he, once detached from that struggle, began to see the beauty of selflessness. One day, while cleaning the gymnasium for the upcoming school play, Jack stopped to watch the children rehearse. Bright faces sparkled with ambition, their giggles echoing through the space, filling it with a joy that swallowed the gloom of poverty. This might only be a small stage for most, but here, dreams took flight, if only for a few moments. Jack felt an overwhelming tightness in his chest, an awakening in him as he grasped the profound impact of community. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the days passed, Jack's connection with Maria grew deeper. With every moment spent beside her, he understood the weight of her burdens and the brightness she brought to the community. But then came the moment that cut through everything. Jack stumbled upon a yearbook in the school's lost and found, flipping through the pages until a picture froze him in place. Maria, younger and full of life, stood next to his high school self. The world tilted as Jack grappled with this shock. How had he overlooked this connection? The urge to reveal his true identity clashed violently with the desire to continue helping her without his past weighing down the present. Could he reconcile his privilege with this new reality? Time was running out. The clock ticked down on his secret life, the community counting on him to elevate them. Could he really step back? With the clock inching closer, Jack stood squarely at the crossroads. Would he dare unveil himself, or would he opt to become the silent guardian they needed? As the days dwindled, the tension within him surged toward an explosive decision, leaving the reader breathless and eager for what lay ahead. Jack woke up that morning with a heaviness in his heart. The air in his small room felt suffocating, reminding him that time was running out. Only 10 days remained in his 30-day transformation, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something profound awaited him. As he made his way to the school, he replayed the moment he'd seen Maria's picture in the yearbook over and over. The laughter they'd shared felt different now, tinged with the weight of unspoken truths. How would she react if she learned the man who'd shared her meals and cleaned her school was actually someone from her past? Would it sever the bond they had built, or could it deepen it in ways he hadn't imagined? When he stepped into the cafeteria, the delicious smell of tacos filled the air. Maria was busy at work, her hands deftly slicing vegetables as she hummed a familiar tune. Seeing her, a wave of warmth washed over him. He couldn't keep hiding anymore. Ignoring the flutter of nerves in his stomach, he approached her. "Hey, Maria," he started, his voice low, almost lost in the bustling noise of children chatting and laughing. Can we talk for a second? She looked up, a smile lighting up her face. Of course, Jack. What's on your mind? Jack hesitated, the words struggling to leave his mouth. Instead, he took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the school pulsate around him, the laughter of children, the shuffle of feet, the heartfelt conversations mixing in the air. It's about something personal. All right. She set down the knife, concern flickering in her eyes. What's bothering you? You can tell me. Jack felt his heart race. He wanted to tell her everything, to reveal that he was more than just a janitor, more than just someone who cleaned floors and emptied trash. But at the same time, he feared that the revelation might shatter the little world they had built together. Maria, he paused, searching her eyes. You know how we've shared stories, how we've become friends. There's something I've been keeping from you. Something big. She frowned slightly, folding her arms as if to brace herself. You're making me nervous, Jack. He lowered his voice, the urgency pressing against him. I found something in the lost and found. A yearbook. I saw your picture, and I realized we both went to the same school. You were in my class. Maria's eyes widened, processing his words. Wait, what do you mean? You're joking, right? No, I'm not. His heart raced even faster. It's me, Maria. Jack Thompson. The billionaire. Just before he could finish, the bell rang, and the wave of students surged into the cafeteria. Maria stepped back, her expression shifting from confusion to shock. Wait, the Jack Thompson. The one from the news? Yes. But she raised a hand, the disbelief palpable in the air between them as the room filled with noise. You can't just spring this on me now, Jack. Not here. The tightening in his chest felt like a vice. He wanted to explain everything, to tell her how this experience had changed him. But he could see the uncertainty in her eyes, and suddenly, a wall built over years of privilege and pain rose between them. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his choices pulling him in different directions. Maria, please let me explain. But she turned away, her voice barely above a whisper as she exited. I need time to think. Jack watched her go, the knot in his stomach tightening. He felt like the floor had dropped from beneath him. Was this how it would end? Would his truth cost him the connection he had come to cherish? With 8 days left, the questions loomed larger than ever. Would he be able to bridge the gap between their worlds, or had he lost the only thing that mattered in his desperate attempts to help? As he stared out at the children buzzing with life, the thrill of the stage rehearsals faded, replaced by a looming uncertainty. Would Maria ever look at him the same again? What he had learned and experienced with her was immense and real, but was it now tainted by the very privilege he had tried to escape? Jack felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Time was slipping through his fingers, and he knew his next move would define everything. Jack sat alone at a table, the cafeteria buzzing around him like a hive of activity. His thoughts swirled with confusion and regret as he watched Maria walk away. The woman he had come to care for was now just a silhouette in a crowd, her retreat feeling like a door slamming shut on the bond they had nurtured. The laughter of students echoed in his ears, but it was hollow. How could he have been so careless? He was just beginning to understand what it meant to have true connections, and now it felt like he had ruined everything with one revelation. The truth had exposed a chasm between them, one side filled with his past of privilege and the other with her everyday reality. He buried his face in his hands, the weight of his heartache almost too much to bear. He thought back to all their conversations, moments of laughter and shared dreams. Did it mean nothing to her now? Did she feel betrayed? His mind raced with every scenario that could unravel. Suddenly, a voice broke through his turmoil. Hey, man, are you all right? It was Mike, one of the other janitors. He had always been friendly, but today, his eyes showed genuine concern. I messed up, Jack admitted, looking up. Mike sat down, folding his arms on the table. Was it about the girl? You seemed pretty close. Yeah. Jack sighed heavily. I told her the truth about who I really am. I thought it would bring us closer, but now I just feel like I pushed her away. Listen, if she was truly your friend, she'll come around. Just give her some space, Mike encouraged. Truth can sting. Jack nodded, but it did little to ease the heaviness in his chest. I think I blew my chance. She might never see me the same way again. Only time will tell, Mike said, standing up. But you can't just sit here moping. You've got to keep doing the good things you have. That's what really matters. As Mike walked back to his duties, Jack realized he had to pull himself together. He couldn't allow despair to cloud his judgment, he had to fight for what he valued. He picked up his broom, pushing it across the cafeteria floor with a newfound determination. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Despite the weight of uncertainty hanging overhead, Jack found solace in the routine. He lost himself in the tasks, taking comfort in the rhythms of the life he had adopted. But as the school day ended and twilight fell, the feeling of dread returned. That night, unable to sleep, he replayed his conversation with Maria in his head. What could he say to her to make her understand? How could he show her that he had changed? The next morning, he made a decision. He would write her a letter. A letter that revealed more of who he was now than the glitter of his past. Something heartfelt, something genuine. He spent hours working on it, carefully choosing his words, each one felt like a step toward healing the rift between them. Days trickled into weeks, but the letter remained untouched. He held it close, afraid of releasing it into the world, terrified of what it might trigger in Maria. Finally, he decided to confront his own fears. He would give the letter to her as they cleaned up after lunch, a moment of quiet amidst the chaos. But just as he approached the cafeteria, he noticed a gathering of students around the stage as setup for the upcoming talent show. Maria was there, standing with her back to him, talking to her friends, her laughter ringing bright, but today it felt distant. His heart raced as he stepped forward, gripping the letter tightly. This was a turning point. He couldn't hold back any longer. Maria. He called, the sound of her name echoing with urgency. She turned, her smile faltering as their eyes locked. Jack's heart thudded wildly in his chest. This was it. Time was slipping through his fingers, and he had to reach for it before it disappeared completely. His future depended on this moment. But as he approached, he noticed another figure next to her, someone he recognized but had tried hard to forget. Would this change everything again? Wait. He thought, as fear gripped him once more. Could he still mend things with Maria, or was it too late? Jack's pulse quickened as he neared, his gaze darting between Maria and the delicate figure beside her. It was Aaron, an upperclassman who had once been an acquaintance of Jack's in a world he thought he had left behind. The same world that had felt so stifling, so shallow. Now, here he was in the cafeteria, grappling with a sense of betrayal that twisted in his gut like a knife. Jack. Maria's voice pierced through his thoughts, pulling attention away from Aaron, if only for a moment. She smiled, but it was tight, uncertain. What's up? He hesitated. Did she feel the tension too? Did she see Aaron as a threat, or was it just Jack's insecurities battling for dominance? He steeled himself, ready to confront both her and the knot of emotions that had been tying him in knots since that fateful day. I just wanted to, he began, but the words fell away. Aaron clapped his hands together. Hey, bud. You're looking a bit pale. Everything cool? The casualness of Aaron's comment stung sharper than he anticipated. Jack took a breath, frustration beginning to bubble within him. This was precisely what he did not need. He shifted his focus back to Maria, who was studying the two boys with intrigue, perhaps wondering where matters would go from here. I was just about to give Maria something, Jack said, his eyes locked on hers. He could feel the distance an invisible barrier had stretched between them since that night seeped with confessions and regrets. Oh. Aaron's interest piqued. A love letter, perhaps? You're good at those. Jack's heart raced. The laughter around them faded as the raw truth hung there, painfully exposed. It's not what you think, he replied defiantly, the fire in his voice surprising even him. It's personal. Maria's gaze softened, a flicker of recognition igniting in her eyes. She stepped forward slightly, leaving the safety of her social circle. Jack, but Aaron interrupted her with a chuckle. Come on, man. It's a talent show. What's more personal than performing in front of everyone? Why not just tell her? Jack clenched his fists, irritation mixed with the desperate need to be heard. The letter was his way of explaining and bridging the silence he felt had come to define him. But here, standing before Maria, he felt the burden of expectation. Would it change everything if he finally dropped the letter into her hands? Because it's not just some act. Jack's voice rose unexpectedly, silencing the surrounding chatter. It's about who I am now and how much she means to me. It's a way to show. He hesitated, swallowing the lump in his throat. Show her I'm trying to be better. The cafeteria was still. Students stopped, their eyes shifting from Jack to Maria, and then back again. Maria looked taken aback. Jack, I'm just trying to know. He cut her off, urgency flooding through him. I'm tired of running away. I need you to know who I really am, and this letter is not just words. It's everything. Will you let me give it to you? As he held the folded paper tightly, the air thick with tension, Maria hesitated. Jack could see in her eyes that she was weighing his words, balancing the weight of their past with the uncertain future. Just, give me a moment, she finally said, her voice shaky but sincere. Okay. Jack nodded, still holding on to the fragile hope that he could reach her, even if for a brief moment. But just then, Aaron stepped in again, an insidious smile creeping onto his face. Or maybe it's better if you take your time, right? Some things are meant to be left unsaid. The finality of his statement left a chill in Jack's chest. Was Aaron right? Would Maria even want to read the letter if she was second-guessing what Jack had to offer? The thought made him tremble, and as he searched Maria's eyes, the moment stretched, taut and fragile. As the buzz of the cafeteria returned, Jack's heart raced in tandem with his thoughts. Would this be the last chance to connect, or had he just sealed his fate in the silence? Maria, he whispered, the letter still heavy in his grip. Please, but in the chaos of youth and laughter, would his plea be heard over the din? Jack's heart sank as the chatter around him swelled once more, drowning out his desperate whisper. With every passing second, the gap between him and Maria felt wider, a chasm filled with unspoken words and fears. He glanced furtively at Aaron, who was leaning against the table, a smug expression plastered across his face, like a puppet master pulling strings he didn't understand. Come on, Jack, lighten up. Aaron said, trying to blend humor with superiority. You'll blow a gasket. Jack gritted his teeth, willing himself to breathe through the wave of frustration. He didn't want to give Aaron any power over this moment. This was about Maria, not a petty rivalry. She was the one he needed to focus on, yet Aaron's presence hung in the air like a thick fog. Maria shifted, a mix of curiosity and concern flickering in her eyes. Jack, I really want to hear what you have to say. Then let me say it. His voice came out sharper than he intended, but it was genuine. Every ounce of his being wanted the truth to reach her. I don't want another silent night filled with regrets. I'm tired of pretending. A hush fell over the cafeteria as Jack's words sank in. Maria's eyes widened, not with surprise but a deep understanding that reached far beyond his expectations. She opened her mouth, then seemed to reconsider. Maybe we should talk outside? She suggested softly, her gaze darting to Aaron, uncertain of how he might react. Jack's heart soared at the idea. Yes. Please, let us go. The moment felt like a lifeboat in a storm, with Jack eager to grasp it before it drifted away. He glanced at Aaron, who looked like he might object, ready to throw a comment filled with sarcasm. But at that moment, it didn't matter. What mattered was Maria, the words in his letter, and the chance to finally reveal what had been bottled up for so long. They moved toward the exit, Jack's pulse racing. In the hallway, the noise of the cafeteria faded. The air felt cooler, almost electric, as they found a secluded spot by the window. Sunlight spilled in, illuminating Maria's face, making her look both vulnerable and strong. "Jack," she started, her voice trembling, "I didn't mean to put pressure on you. I didn't know you felt that way." He took a step closer, holding the letter against his chest like a fragile promise. "I've spent these past months fighting my own shadows, and you've been the light guiding me forward. If this letter could explain the mess in my head, I need you to see it. I need you to see me." Marie met his gaze, her eyes thick with emotion. He could see the wheels turning within her mind, the battle between the past and present, hope and fear. "You have no idea how much I've wanted to understand where you were coming from," she finally said, her voice steadying. "But I was scared of being disappointed. Then let me show you." Jack extended the letter slightly, desperate but hopeful. "Reading this, it's the first step to understanding everything." She took a deep breath, her eyes flicking from the letter to his face, trying to capture this crucial moment. It was more than just words, it was a chance, a leap of faith into something real. "Okay, let me see what you wrote." Just as she reached out to take the letter, a loud commotion echoed down the hall. Kids rushed past them, laughter and shouting disturbing the fragile quiet that had settled between Jack and Maria. Their moment felt at risk, teetering on a precarious edge. "Wait," Jack said abruptly, his voice rising above the chaos. "Can't you feel this? It's not just a letter, it's my heart trying to reach you." As the noise enveloped them, he wondered if they'd ever escape the chaos to truly connect. Would the moment slip through their fingers like sand, or would they grasp it tightly, despite everything? In the rush of commotion, he could only think, what would Maria ultimately choose? Would she read the letter and grant him the chance he longed for? Maria hesitated, her eyes searching his for something. Hope. Fear. He held his breath, waiting for the answer that could change everything. But as that tension hung thick in the air, what would the next chapter of their story reveal? Jack's heart raced as Maria's fingers brushed against the letter. It was a delicate moment, hanging on the cusp of something monumental. Just as their fingertips connected, the distant noise faded into a muffled hum, and for a heartbeat, nothing else existed but the two of them. But the sudden rush of students shattered the fragile silence. Maria pulled back, her expression shifting to one of confusion and disappointment. "Maybe later she hesitated, glancing back towards the noisy hallway. The excitement of the cafeteria seemed to intrude on their bubble, stealing away the intimacy of the moment. "Just hold on a second," Jack blurted, desperation creeping into his voice. "Please, don't back away now. We were just about to." The words tumbled out unfiltered, too fast and too raw. I know, she said, casting her eyes down, "but the timing, it feels all wrong now." Jack stood there, frustration twisting inside him like a clenched fist. He wanted to scream, to implore her to see it from his perspective, but the anger morphed into something softer, the fear of losing this chance. "We could find a quieter place. Just you and me," he offered, desperately trying to salvage this fleeting connection. Her gaze met his again, and he detected a flicker of longing, the same longing that burned within him. "You're right," she said slowly, commitment flickering behind her eyes. "Let's South go to the park. It'll be quieter there." Relief surged through him as they both stepped away from the doorframe, choosing movement, choosing hope over uncertainty. As they walked outside, the cool breeze felt refreshing, almost cleansing. It wrapped around them like a hug, softening the tension that had built up inside. The park was just a short distance away, trees lined the path, their leaves rustling softly above. "Jack, I want you to know," Maria began, but her voice trailed off. "What?" What's on your mind? He asked, trying to inject courage into the words. I'm just worried. About what I read in your letter. She paused, taking her time. What if the feelings are one-sided? What if you put yourself out there, and I crumble your hopes? Jack stopped walking, turning to face her fully. Maria, let me tell you something. I'd rather take the risk and fall hard than spend another day wondering what could be been. A flicker of surprise crossed her face, and for a moment, he thought he saw the walls she had built begin to crack. You really mean that? More than anything, he said, his voice steady, compelling. I need you to see what I see, the potential of us. Don't you feel it, too? Slowly, a smile broke across her lips. I do. I just didn't know how you felt. I was scared. Jack stepped closer, feeling that electric connection reignite. Then let me show you. Here's the letter. He extended it again, this time with assurance. As she opened the letter, he watched as her eyes danced across the words. He could almost hear her heartbeat quickening, answering the rhythm of his own. Yet, as Maria read further, her brow furrowed with concern. Was it what he feared? Was it too much? Jack, she whispered finally, her voice barely a thread. You've put so much into this, but it feels like you're setting us up for something big. He braced himself. It is big. This is us, it's what I want. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, a figure appeared in the distance. It wasn't just anyone. It was Aaron, striding toward them with that unmistakable swagger, a knowing smirk plastered across his face, like he had a secret meant to sabotage their moment. Jack's stomach twisted. Would Aaron unleash another wave of chaos, destroying everything they had just begun to build together? Hey, Maria! What's up with you and Jack? Aaron shouted, a taunt lacing his words. Jack clenched his fists, ready to defend what was rightfully his. Not now, Aaron, he called, determination flooding his voice. Maria turned to Jack, her expression caught between anxiety and resolve. Maybe he's right, Jack. What if this isn't what it seems? In that split second, everything hung in the balance. Would they let the noise of the outside world drown out the truth they were trying to uncover? Jack locked eyes with Maria, knowing they were at a crossroads. The tug-of-war between hope and doubt wrapped around them tightly. Maria, please, he started, but was interrupted by Aaron's sneer. What would Maria choose? Would she stay and face the storm with him, or would she walk away, leaving them both adrift? There was a tense silence thickening the air, and in that moment, Jack felt as if the world had narrowed down to just Maria and himself. He was desperate to bridge the gap, to pull her back from the edge of the doubt that Aaron's presence had pushed her towards. The laughter of students echoed behind them, a stark contrast to the chaos twisting inside him. Don't listen to him, Jack urged, stepping closer as if his proximity might somehow expel Aaron's negativity. This is about us, not him. I know what I feel, and I want to share it with you. Maria's eyes held his, and they flickered with uncertainty. What if this is just a high school fling? What if it doesn't last? What if we end up ruining our friendship? No risk, no reward, Jack replied, his voice firm. I don't want to live wondering what could have been. Can you say that's not worth the risk? Please, just think about it. Aaron had paused, watching, a small smirk still on his lips, feeding off the tension. But Jack saw it differently now. Aaron was just noise trying to drown out the music between them. He needed to center his thoughts, to pull Maria back to him. If you can find the courage to be honest with yourself, then we can figure this out together. His heart thudded in his chest. Just let the words come out. You don't have to be scared with me. A slow breath escaped Maria's lips. So, you really want this? She asked, her eyes searching his like a lifeline. I do. I want this so much, Jack affirmed, taking a small step further into her space. The warmth radiating from her made every fear and doubt feel smaller, almost insignificant. Somewhere behind them, Aaron rolled his eyes but stayed quiet, sensing that his interruption was weakening. Jack reached out, taking hold of Maria's hand. It felt right, fitting snugly into place as if their fingers were meant to be intertwined. Think of the moments we could share. Memories that could last, he said softly, his voice almost a whisper now. How exhilarating would it be to take this leap and see where it leads us? She blinked, her gaze drifting down to their joined hands. The once daunting prospect seemed to shimmer between them, a future that held promise instead of fear. But what if we fall? She whispered, almost afraid of the answer. Jack smiled, this time with a certainty that surged from deep within him. Then we fall together. I can't think of a better way to face the risk than to do it with you by my side. For a moment, Maria considered him, her heart racing. Perhaps the most glorious adventure could be in the risk itself, in trusting someone enough to take that leap together. But just then, Aaron scoffed, breaking the moment. Aren't you being a little naive? It's high school. You think this is going to last? You'll regret it. Jack felt his patience thin. He turned to face Aaron fully, ready to defend Maria and what they could possibly build. Just because you're jaded doesn't mean we have to be. Back off. Maria shifted, looking between the two. Aaron, could you just let us figure this out? At her words, Jack saw the surge of determination in her eyes. They both stood on the precipice of something, and for the first time, it felt like they might actually take the plunge. But before they could respond, the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch. Students poured out of the cafeteria. Jack knew the moment was slipping away, the gravity of the decision bearing down on them. Please, Maria. Don't let him take this away, he pleaded. The moment hung between them like a fragile thread. What would she choose? Would she fight against the noise? Would they be courageous enough to embrace what could be? As the crowd swarmed around them, Jack felt his heart quicken. Would they navigate together through the chaos, or would doubt propel her back into safety? The answer lay in her hands. Would she let go or hold on? The bell's chime faded into the background as students streamed past them, filling the hallway with chatter and footsteps. Jack's heart raced, the chaos around him a sharp contrast to the quiet decision hanging in the air between him and Maria. Just, think about what I said, Jack urged, squeezing her hand gently, desperate to take full hold of this moment, this feeling. Something shifted in her expression, an almost imperceptible but profound change. It felt like the breath before a storm, filled with potential energy, waiting for release. Maria glanced at Aaron, who had assumed a stance of smug indifference, but she seemed to consider something deeper now. I don't want to rush into anything, Jack. It's just everything is so complicated. Jack watched her carefully, the way the light caught her hair, the way her lips twisted in thought. He could feel her uncertainty, and it pierced through him like a sharp shard. Life is always complicated. But we can figure it out. Together. The earnestness in his voice caught her attention, pulling her gaze back to him. Together? She echoed, her brow furrowing slightly as she chewed on the word, tasting the implications behind it. Yes. Just imagine. Jack took a deep breath, trying to paint the picture for her, to drown out the noise that threatened to drown them both. We could go to the lake after school, watch the sunset, make all those plans we've always talked about, but better, deeper. She hesitated, her eyes drifting again to their linked hands. Could they really leap off this ledge together? The bond they had built through years of friendship carried weight. It promised safety, warmth. But what if it ruins everything? Maria whispered. What if we lose what we already have? Jack sensed the fear lurking beneath her words. He had thought about it too, but he wouldn't let that bleed into his resolve. What if we don't? What if this is the best thing we've ever done? He felt an emotional swell, a flicker of hope igniting between them. I don't think we'll regret it if we try. Just then, a group of friends passed by, chuckling and glowing with youthful exuberance, oblivious to the gravity of Jack and Maria's moment. The sight only deepened Jack's conviction. He didn't want to stay stuck in the shadows of unspoken words while the world moved around them. Maria's eyes softened, contemplating her own heart, the hopes she had tucked away. "Maybe, but I'm scared, Jack." "And that's okay," he said softly. "I'm scared too. But I promise to be there to catch you if you fall." That soft promise hung in the air, a tether binding her thoughts. The words flowed like a gentle stream, easing her tension, offering comfort. Jack could feel it, the shift in her, the tide turning as she let go of her fear, just a bit. But Aaron's presence loomed large behind them, a shadow that refused to let go, clenching the potential light between them. "This is all just a fantasy. You two need to wake up," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Maria flinched, her gaze dropping again. Jack's stomach twisted in frustration. "Why don't you just let us be, Aaron?" he snapped, looking back at him. The shift left something unresolved, hanging in the air like unsung notes of a melody. Suddenly, Maria took a breath that filled the space between them, her face alight with a flicker of something that felt like courage. "Maybe I want to try," she said slowly. "But you have to promise me one thing." Jack felt a surge of hope swell in his chest. "Anything. Promise me we keep being honest about everything. If it gets too hard, then we talk. No matter what." As the words settled between them, the noise around them faded once more. But just as an overwhelming urge to draw closer enveloped Jack, the sound of Aaron's mocking laughter echoed again, sending a chill through their moment. "Yeah, right. That'll be the day," he jeered, clearly enjoying the show. Jack tensed, anger refueling. He can't let Aaron ruin this for them. But Maria turned back to him, her eyes shimmering. "Let's not let him win." "Not today," she said, almost a challenge. Jack met her gaze, feeling a thrum of determination between them. This was their chance, fragile yet palpable. What lay ahead was uncertain, but with Maria at his side, Jack felt ready to embrace it. As they stepped back into the bustling crowd, the weight of their decision lingered, but so did the electric hint of hope. What path would they carve together against the odds? And just as they blended into the flow of students, a sudden commotion erupted down the hall, capturing their attention. Jack's heart skipped, curiosity thrummed like a bass line in his chest. What unexpected challenge awaited them now? Jack's eyes darted toward the source of the commotion. A crowd had gathered near the lockers, students jostling and leaning in closer, curiosity palpable in the air. The noise swelled, laughter mixed with shouts, drawing a knot of excitement that was hard to ignore. "What is happening?" Maria asked, tugging gently at Jack's arm, her initial enthusiasm faltering as concern replaced it. "I don't know," Jack replied, already moving toward the crowd. "We should check it out." They pushed through the throng, and a wave of whispers rippled past them. Jack caught snippets of words: fight, phone, and detention. His heart raced anew. It wasn't just idle chatter. Moving past the outer ring of students, they finally spotted the center of the chaos. There stood Aaron, eyes wide in mock surprise, leaning against a locker like he was rehearsing his own act. Opposite him, a smaller kid named Marcus, looked shaken, his hands tucked awkwardly into his hoodie pockets. Jack could see Marcus's face flushed, his gaze darting around, looking for a safe exit. Jack felt a strange mix of emotions: the urge to sprint to Marcus's side and the fight against the knot tightening in his stomach. "This isn't good," he whispered to Maria, who had also recognized the tension. "They're just messing with him," Maria replied, her voice low but steady. "It's bullying." Aaron, clearly reveling in the spotlight, pointed an accusing finger at Marcus, laughing. "What's the matter, little man? Lost your voice?" His friends behind him cackled, feeding off his taunts. "Come on, let's get out of here," Maria urged, but Jack could feel something deep inside him stir. This wasn't right. He couldn't just stand by. Not now, not ever. No. "We can't do that," Jack said, his voice stronger than he felt. "We have to help him." Maria paused, a worried expression flitting across her face. "But if we interfere, Aaron will just turn on us." "Maybe," Jack replied, his mind racing as he scanned the jeering crowd. "But we can't just let it continue." With a firm breath, he stepped forward, yanking his hand away from Maria's grip. "Hey! Aaron!" Jack shouted, loud enough to cut through the sounds of laughter. Heads turned, and the atmosphere shifted. "Why don't you pick on someone your own size?" Aaron froze, surprise flashing in his eyes. But the moment passed, and a smirk broke across his face. "Look who we got here, Mr. Hero. What's it feel like to be a wannabe knight?" His voice dripped with sarcasm as he strutted toward Jack. "Leave Marcus alone," Jack reiterated, his heart thudding in his chest. "He doesn't deserve this." "How noble. But seriously, are you really willing to go there?" Aaron's arrogance was almost palpable. He leaned in closer, invading Jack's personal space. "You know, if you stick your neck out, you could end up like him." Jack's gaze turned back to Marcus, who was watching with wide eyes, fear mixing with relief. Jack felt the swell of determination rush through him, a quiet promise not only to Marcus but to himself. "I'm not afraid of you, Aaron. You don't scare me." The silence stretched thin, tension electric in the air. Jack knew this was a critical moment. He either backed down or stood firm. Seeing Aaron, with all his bravado, Jack suddenly understood something important. He wasn't just defending Marcus, he was redefining what bravery meant for himself. "I guess we'll see if you really have guts," Aaron said, backing off slightly, but Jack sensed the threat lingered like a shadow. As the crowd shifted and murmurs filled the air, Maria came to stand beside Jack, her jaw set in solidarity. The camaraderie spurred Jack onward, their united front tightening the air around them. Suddenly, the bell rang, a chaotic clang that dispersed the crowd. Faced with a choice, Jack and Maria knew they had limited time to make a difference. "Let's talk to Marcus," Jack urged, looking back to ensure he wasn't just dragging Maria into this alone. With determination and a flicker of fear, they weaved through the retreating students, but the uncertainty loomed larger than before. Would Marcus be willing to share what had happened? Just then, they caught his eye, and Jack's heart thudded. "Hey, Marcus!" he called, hopeful. "Are you okay?" Marcus hesitated, but desperation filled Jack's chest. He could only hope that by stepping up this time, they'd win a small battle against the tide. Little did they know, an unexpected ally was watching closely, one who had their own reasons for wanting to step in. Would Maria and Jack find the strength to lift Marcus out of his struggles and confront Aaron's bullying? Would their own budding relationship withstand this new wave of challenges unfolding around them? Jack stepped toward Marcus, his heart pounding with both concern and determination. The tension from earlier hung in the air, but the finality of the bells ringing felt like a turning point. Maria stood beside him, a silent but steadfast support. "Marcus," Jack called again, trying to catch his gaze. "We're here for you. You don't have to face this alone." Marcus glanced at them, uncertainty still clouding his features, but there was a flicker of something more, a hint of hope. Maria moved closer, her warmth radiating out. "We've all felt alone at times. No one should have to go through bullying by themselves," she added softly, her voice steady and reassuring. Marcus finally stepped toward them, taking a deep breath. I don't know what to say," he admitted, enough vulnerability shining through his words to break the invisible barrier of fear he clutched tightly. "Start by just being you," Jack urged. "Tell us what happened. We want to help." Feeling the weight of their solidarity, Marcus spoke hesitantly, recounting how Aaron had targeted him over a simple misunderstanding, a misplaced phone that Aaron seized as an opportunity to humiliate him in front of the whole school. "And no one said anything," Marcus murmured, his gaze dropping as if the weight of shame pressed against him. "Everyone just laughed." Jack felt a surge of anger, but more than that, it ignited a fierce protectiveness swelling in his chest. That's not right. You shouldn't have to stand there and take it. He looked at Maria, who nodded in agreement. We're going to change that. No one should feel like they don't have a voice. Suddenly, Jack felt a shift within himself. Was this what it meant to finally stand up? To face down not just bullying but the ghosts of his past mistakes? He didn't just want to help Marcus, he needed to reclaim a part of himself that he thought was lost. Let's bring this to the principal, Jack suggested, igniting a flicker of hope in Marcus's eyes. We can't let Aaron get away with treating you like this. Are you sure? Marcus asked, hesitating. I don't know if I want to create more drama. Jack took a step closer, determination blooming in his chest. What's worse? Living in fear or standing up for yourself? This could change everything for you, and for others like us, too. Maria chimed in, her voice warm and supportive. You deserve to feel safe at school, Marcus. We'll be right next to you. His shoulders slumped slightly, the burden of isolation lessening, and Jack could see how they were slowly coaxing Marcus back to life. Okay, he finally nodded, hope sparking in his eyes. Let us do it. Together, they walked toward the principal's office. Though he couldn't shake the tension in his gut, Jack felt lighter, invigorated with newfound purpose. He glanced sideways at Maria, who smiled at him bright and encouraging. It struck him just how precious this bond was, strengthened through action and courage. Reaching the office, they stepped inside and found Principal Johnson, wise and compassionate, listening to an older student. The crowded room felt daunting, but Jack's resolve didn't waver. Excuse me, Principal Johnson. He interjected, his voice steady. The principal turned with concern, glancing at the three of them. What can I do for you? She asked. Marcus is being bullied by Aaron. We need to talk about it, Jack said, putting a protective arm around Marcus's shoulder, lending him courage. Bullying is serious, Principal Johnson began, her brows furrowing. I need to hear all sides. Marcus, would you like to tell me what has been happening? As Marcus unfolded his story, his voice grew stronger, more assured. Jack and Maria listened intently, keeping their presence a reassuring anchor for Marcus. After Marcus finished, Principal Johnson nodded sympathetically, her expression serious. Thank you for coming forward, Marcus. This takes a lot of bravery, and I assure you, we will address the issue. Bullying has no place in our school. A wave of relief washed over Marcus's face, and Jack felt a swell of pride. You're not alone, Marcus. We'll keep fighting for what's right. The conversation continued, with Principal Johnson outlining steps they would take: meetings, conversations with Aaron's parents, a commitment to create a safer school environment for every student. As Marcus walked out, the warmth of gratitude radiated from him. Thank you, both of you. I really appreciate it. Jack smiled, heart brimming with pride. This was about so much more than just standing against bullies, it was about community, support, and togetherness. In the days that followed, things began to change. Aaron found his targets moved, his taunts dulled by the collective courage of the students. With every victory, Jack and Maria grew closer. They found themselves in conversation after class, sharing their thoughts, hopes, and dreams. They often ended up walking to the park together, where they could breathe freely and imagine a future beyond the walls of their school. One afternoon, as they sat watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, Maria turned to Jack with a smile. I never expected helping someone else would lead to this, she said, warmth radiating from her. Jack smiled back, feeling lighter than air. Neither did I. But it's amazing how one act of courage can change everything. As they sat together in that golden hour, the world around them felt bright and full of possibilities. Together, they had transformed not just Marcus's life but their own, stepping into the kind of connection few dared to embrace. They were no longer just friends fighting for justice, they were partners on a journey filled with hope, a journey that continued to unfold with each passing day. And as they faced the world side by side, together they understood deeply, true strength lies not only in lifting yourself but also in lifting others. This was the moment they would carry forward. As their fingers intertwined and the warmth of their laughter echoed into the fading light, Jack knew no matter what else came their way, they would face it together. And that, truly, was just the beginning. Before you leave, I need to remind you this is your moment to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Don't forget to leave a like now to feed the algorithm. We want to hear from you in the comments. What did you think of this ending, and how does it resonate with you? And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now, this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.